Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Today we are trying to conquer a new aspect of the A1 grammar, and as you can see in my picture, it's just the beginning. So let's start. The topic, of course, will be Akkusativ, and to be more precise, Nomen und Artikel im Akkusativ, Nouns and Articles in Accusative. The first thing we need to understand, especially if you are a beginner, is the why. Why do we need that? What does it mean? Depending on where you're from, you are familiar with the cases, the grammar cases. Some languages have even more than 4. In German, we have 4 cases. The first one you already learned with me, or I'm sure you already know it learning by yourself or with another institution. It is nominative. The nominative always shows the subject of a sentence. So who does something? Saying it in an easy way, of course, it can be more complicated. So the subject. If we say Elena eats the cake. In English, you would say, okay, easy enough. The cake doesn't change. But because the object in the sentence is not someone that does something, but someone that someone is doing something to, we need to change it. This is the big main reason for everything that is connected with the cases. So depending on what happens to the object by the subject, we have to change it. In the beginning, I try to say to my students, let's see an English sentence. It's not similar, of course. The only thing I can think of being quite similar, for example, she calls him. This is the correct way to say that. We wouldn't say she calls he. This would be wrong. So this is something a little similar to what we are trying to learn in German also. But of course, with many more variations than the English language. But this is what it is actually. So let's check out what the articles in accusative are all about. We will start, of course, with the definite one. And you can see that here we have now sentences. It's not enough just to say the noun, because the noun by itself would be nominative. Ich kaufe den Mantel. I buy the coat. Who is the subject? Of course, I am. I do the thing. Paul bestellt die Tomatensuppe. Paul orders the tomato soup. Subjekt, Paul. Objekt, the soup, female. Julia bezahlt das Bier. Julia pays the beer, it's neutral. Julia being the subject, she does it. She pays the beer. Wir lesen die Bücher. We read the books. We are the subject, and die Bücher is the object in plural. Here we have the nominative. The only thing that changes in this case is the male one. Der becomes den. Die stays die. Das stays das. Die stays die. This doesn't mean you don't have to learn if something is accusative, because it's not always the definite article. If I were you, I would think about it like this. If you put the object as a subject, I gave you here all the words we had in the examples, but I put it into the position of the subject. Okay, so now we don't have them as object, and you can see the article changes into the nominative. The coat is expensive, the soup is tasty, the beer is cold, the books are heavy. So now the object became the subject. It's all about the subject and what happens with it. It is a certain way. So you see really clear, I think at least, that if you change the grammarly function of an object to make it a subject, it changes its article as well. Here we have a little exercise. Let's read together. The example, Beispiel, Mineralwasser. Ich trinke das Mineralwasser. So again, Subject, Nominativ, I, and I drink the water, and the water gets drunken by me. So it is an object, of course, in Accusative. Okay, take your time, try to make all the other sentences, and then we will compare. If I were you, I would also make a second sentence to make the object the subject to see how the article changes. But this is up to you. Let's read. Ich trinke den Kaffee. I drink the coffee. Den, male. And if I want to say the coffee is hot, then we change it into Nominativ. Der Kaffee ist heiß. Ich esse die Suppe. I eat the soup. Ich trinke den Tee. I drink the tea. Ich trinke das Bier. I drink the beer. Ich esse die Tomatensuppe. I eat the tomato soup. Ich esse den Kuchen. I eat the cake. Ich trinke den Apfelsaft. I drink the apple juice. Ich esse den Salat. I eat the salad. Ich esse die Pizza. I eat the pizza. And I want to give you two other sentences just to make it complete. We have der Kaffee ist heiß for a male version. Die Suppe ist lecker. The soup is tasty. And of course for a neutral one, das Bier ist zu warm. The beer is too warm. And you can see, as I said before, only the male one is obvious in this article. Okay, great. Unbestimmte Artikel, the indefinite articles. It's exactly the same. We have the subject who has to do something, the who part, the verb, and the object in accusative. Something needs to be done with this thing. This is why it is the object. Ich bestelle einen Weißwein. I order a white wine. Of course, we could also say ich bestelle den Weißwein. I order the white wine, depending on what you want to say. Du isst eine Suppe. You eat a soup. Of course, now you know immediately to say it with a definite one. Du isst die Suppe would be the definite version. Eva nimmt ein Steak. Eva chooses or takes a steak. Das would be the definite form. And a special thing, we already talked about it in another video when we talked about indefinite articles. The same in accusative. For the plural, we don't need any article at all. Wir kaufen Orangen. We are buying oranges. If you are like with friends and you talk about your shopping list and you say, we will buy the oranges, then we would say, wir kaufen die Orangen. This is more definite because we talk about a certain task. Wir kaufen die Orangen. If an object is in accusative or not depends on the verb and or the preposition. It makes sense because even in English you would say she yells at him. You wouldn't say she yells on him or she yells at he or stuff like that. Everything has to be in a proper order, and call it lucky or unlucky. The German language is quite distinctive and quite clear. Do not stress yourself out. Learning this grammar aspect takes so much time and practice and nerve, so don't give up and just keep practicing. The last exercise for today is this little thing here. As I said before, the verbs are deciding what needs accusative or dative. And in this case, of course, we're talking about accusative. Diese Verben haben ein Akkusativobjekt. Those verbs have an object in accusative. Let's see the example. Fragen, to ask. Du fragst den Lehrer. You ask the teacher. Bestellen, to order. Ich bestelle einen Weißwein. I order a white wine. Okay, you can fill in the blanks if you want and can, and we will compare it together in a second. Okay, let's read together. Du besuchst den Großvater. You visit the grandfather. Ihr bezahlt eine Fahrkarte. You pay a ticket. Du buchst die Reise. You book the trip. Ihr hört eine CD. You listen to a CD, in English you would say. Ich kenne den Professor. I know the professor. Sie kaufen ein Deutschbuch. They buy a German book. Wir lernen die Wörter. We learn the words. Du brauchst ein Wörterbuch. You need a dictionary. Ich trinke den Orangensaft. I drink the orange juice. Er versteht die Wörter nicht. He doesn't understand the words. Er isst ein Eis. He eats an ice cream. Du liest die Zeitung. You read the newspaper. Er nimmt ein Steak. He takes or chooses a steak. Du siehst den Film. You watch the movie. Eva trägt eine Tasche. Eva wears a bag. Or holds a bag in English. Ich treffe Klaus. I meet Klaus. Du hast eine Kamera. You have a camera. Er putzt die Schuhe. He cleans the shoes. And the special one, das Eis kostet 1,80 €. The ice cream costs 1,80 €. I will say something about it in a second. I just forgot one sentence. Wir zählen die Stühle. We count the chairs. Two things I want to say for today and then we're finished. If you have a price here, you cannot say the definite article because the is the same as the one. So in this case, we say 1,80 €. It's a little tricky question, I think, to be honest. And the second thing I want to say, sometimes the meaning can change and it's logic also if you choose the wrong article. For example, the first one, du besuchst einen Großvater would mean you visit a grandfather, a random grandfather. This makes no sense. Another example, ich kenne den Professor, ich kenne einen Professor. I know a professor. This also is not so wrong like the grandfather, but it's a total different meaning. Er putzt die Schuhe, he cleans the shoes. But if you would say er putzt Schuhe, which would be the plural in the indefinite form, it would say he cleans shoes. It sounds like he cleans shoes for a living, for example. And when we have the name, it's still accusative, but we don't have an article here. It would sound really stupid and like child language if you would say, ich treffe den Klaus. It's not wrong, but it's baby language. This is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it helped you a little bit to get into the topic. Subscribe to my channel. I try to post videos every Sunday, and you can also follow me on Instagram for little announcements or quiz or whatever I think of. I will see you very soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.